Get connected to the hottest hockey site on the web. CBC.ca is your passport to the playoffs. Up-to-the-minute scores and stats. Check out the video features. It's interactive and entertaining. Hockey online at CBC.ca. Get in on the game. Get all the play-by-play action as Boston battles the Jays at Skydome. Labatt Blue Jays baseball, Saturday at 4 Eastern on CBC.
You're watching CBC Prince Edward Island.
Tonight, native food fishery on trial. War of words over shrimp quota. And Yugoslavia announces a partial withdrawal from Kosovo. Good evening and welcome to Compass for this Monday. Also tonight, police have laid a charge in the death of Ronald Walsh. He's the man found dead in his driveway in Shamrock last weekend. We meet the man who's taking the helm at the University of Prince Edward Island. And so close, yet so far. The Abbeys make it all the way to the final game of the national championships, but come up short. All of that and more tonight, beginning with the news. Here's Roger Junker.
Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everyone. A case involving the native lobster fishery went to court in Summerside today. Last year, charges were laid against two people after fisheries officers came upon a shipment of lobsters being loaded on a military aircraft. And today, the charges against one of them were dismissed on a technicality. Here's Ian Petrie.
Last September the 17th, fisheries officer Jeff Shado was working undercover, investigating illegal sales of lobster caught for the native food fishery. Native that's supposed to be used only for home meals and celebrations. Shado was parked at this service station near Wellington Center when Ken Wilson and Sheila Mitchell drove by in a pickup truck. Shado said that Wilson has been alleged as a middleman in illegal lobster sales, and he decided to follow the truck. To Shado's surprise, the truck drove into the airbase at Slemon Park, where the lobsters were being offloaded into a Hercules aircraft. 3 military personnel testified today. They were in Summerside for training and were buying the 600 lobsters for a Terry Fox fundraiser in Nova Scotia. Captain Christopher Brecken said he arranged the purchase, but did it through someone else. Airport manager Tom Capstick said he knew Wilson from a previous purchase of shellfish and had no idea where Wilson got the lobsters or if they were illegal. Most of the morning was taken up with arguments over the admissibility of certain statements by Sheila Mitchell at the time of the lobster seizure. Now, fisheries officer Jeff Shado read both Mitchell and Wilson their rights, but only Wilson replied that he didn't want to talk to a lawyer just yet. Mitchell didn't say anything. Judge Ralph Thompson ruled that under the charter, Mitchell never gave up her right to an attorney, and therefore anything she said at that time was not admissible in court. This afternoon, Crown Kendra Gunn continued to try to get some of Mitchell's statements in as evidence. She argued Shado first approached Wilson and Mitchell as witnesses, asking what's going on here. Late this afternoon, Judge Ralph Thompson said some of Mitchell's statements would be admitted, but the Crown had failed to provide evidence on where the lobsters were caught or whether or not Mitchell is a commercial fisherman. For that reason, Thompson dismissed the native food fishery charges against Mitchell. Wilson still faces charges of selling lobster without a license. Ian Petrie, CBC News, Summerside.
Last year. Kevin McAdam has touched off a verbal fishing war with the federal minister David Anderson, and it's all over shrimp quota. Last week, McAdam met with Anderson and asked that PEI be given one license into the lucrative shrimp fishery. The island minister came away disappointed. In the legislature last week, McAdam blamed it on politics and the lack of help from the island's 4 Liberal MPs. To answer those charges, I'm joined by Federal Minister David Anderson from his Ottawa office. Mr. Anderson, you've expanded the shrimp quota by 136 million pounds in the last 3 years. Why is there nothing for Prince Edward Island?
Well, when we saw that we had an increase in northern shrimp, indeed almost a bloom of northern shrimp, a tremendously rapid increase in very large amount, we decided that this was temporary, and in fact it's shown to be that. The fishing in the last few years shows that that opinion should not change. Therefore, we decided at that time to increase the amount for the permanent license holders by a marginal amount, relatively small amount, and to allow the rest of the temporary shrimp to be taken by the local adjacent fishermen. And as it turns out, of course, the local adjacent fishermen are not from Prince Edward Island. They are from Labrador, and they are, of course, from Newfoundland. This arrangement was put in place 2 years ago. It's a deal that I could change, but I don't think it's a good idea to go around changing agreements simply because the abundance of the species turns out to be a little higher than originally expected.
Minister McAdam says it's politics, that Brian Tobin is still running the Federal Department of Fisheries, and that's why most of the quota went to Newfoundland.
Well, we have as many members of Parliament from Prince Edward Island as we do from Newfoundland, Liberal members. It's the only province in Canada where every single member happens to support the Liberal Party. I think if it were politics that determined how the quotas went, maybe Prince Edward Island members would have been very influential. But it's not politics. It's based upon the policy of adjacency, which was accepted 2 years ago by the fishermen, by the provinces, and by ourselves. And that's the way we feel we should continue. We don't feel we should go around breaking agreements because Mr. McAdam would regard it as attractive to him.
But he says, and he did in the legislature, that the 4 Island MPs didn't help his case, that they are not prepared to lobby you for shrimp quota.
Well, I have a little difficulty with this. Mr. McAdam comes charging in, and he's a very energetic young man, but he forgets that for some of the most sophisticated MPs we have in Ottawa, with the best knowledge of the town, are from Prince Edward Island. Certainly in our Liberal caucus, they're among the best, and they have worked hard. But the fact of the matter is that this agreement, signed before I became minister, assigned the temporary shrimp to the adjacent fishermen. And in fact, in the Gulf, where there is some increase in the shrimp for the Gulf stocks, I think I'm the first minister in 22 years to make an allowance for Prince Edward Island fishermen. So I don't...
Mr. Anderson, thank you.
You're welcome.
And despite what David Anderson says, Kevin McAdam isn't backing down. He still maintains today that it's politics that blocked Prince Edward Island's entry into the shrimp fishery.
And we're putting a rationale forward that if he's granted 132 million new pounds of product in the last 3 years, 132 million new pounds, and he's redistributing it to existing license holders, and a majority, which was a national policy decision on their own admission, to give it to the Midshore Fleet in Newfoundland, then what else is it? I mean, we are there lobbying. Yes, we're lobbying for Prince Edward Island. I'm not ashamed to say that. We're lobbying for the fishing community of Prince Edward Island. We want to make sure we have access to this national resource. It's no provinces, it's no independent jurisdiction. It is a national resource to be allocated to the entire country. And Prince Edward Island has every right and every claim to be there as much as any other province or territory.
You still stick by what you said on Thursday, that this was a political decision, and that if the 4 Island MPs had lobbied harder and backed you, that PEI might have some access?
The minister's own words during the discussion, he said to me, if this was such a big issue in your province, he says, how come your MPs aren't knocking on my door? Now, as I take from those comments, that obviously the issue hasn't been brought to his attention, at least certainly not in any great scope, by our MPs. Now, you interpret it the way you want to. I interpret it as being that it's not a major issue to them. And I've been talking to them, and I've been trying to get this through, that we should have access, in particular, to the Gulf shrimp fishery, which is adjacent to Prince Edward Island, and the northern shrimp fishery, as I've said, which is 132 million pounds allocated.
Government's financial backing for 6 fish processing companies to create Polar Foods has helped the PEI lobster industry. The consultant on a new lobster marketing study says Polar Foods has increased competition, but he also says other processors blame Polar for pushing up the price of lobster last year. More on the report from John Jeffrey.
Consultant John Eldon Green has just completed a PEI lobster marketing study. It was a government-funded response to fishermen's concerns last spring with the creation of Polar Foods. Polar is a consortium of 6 fish processors, all who buy lobster at the wharf.
Quite a few fishermen said Polar is to our advantage. They want competition on the wharf. In fact, some of the fishermen they'll have a regular buyer, person they have confidence in, but they'll say, and they use this expression, to keep them honest, they'll sell their fish to somebody else.
Green found that fishermen are happy with the status quo. However, he says many processors are losing money, and some blame Polar for pushing up the price they paid fishermen last year.
But there's people outside of Polar who were not enamored of the Polar initiative. They figured that Polar drove up the prices last year to their disadvantage.
Green says fishermen don't want change now, primarily because of good catches and good prices. Fisheries Minister Kevin McAdam isn't planning any major moves in the lobster industry.
What they decide to do with the report will obviously be their determining factor that will probably take us to the next step if there is one. So I'm kind of waiting for them to look at it, and if they decide that they're going to embrace certain recommendations, then that's to be seen.
Green says fishermen could benefit from advanced knowledge of the marketplace. He says they could do that through a strong PEI Fishermen's Association, but right now, not enough fishermen are prepared to fully support it. John Jeffries, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Police have laid a charge in the death of a Shamrock man. Ronald Walsh was found dead in his driveway over a week ago. Today, the RCMP charged a male with assault causing bodily harm, but they say the death cannot be directly linked to the assault. An autopsy shows blood in his lungs caused Walsh's death. Police believe he was in a fight in Kinkora before he died. He was bleeding from a cut in his mouth. The full autopsy report will be finished in several weeks. The man charged with assault will appear in provincial court early in June to enter a plea in the case. Police have charged a 17-year-old boy in connection with a car accident in Kinkora on Saturday afternoon. The boy is accused of interfering with the driver. The car left the road, went into the ditch, hit a culvert, and rolled onto a nearby lawn. 6 teenagers were in the car at the time. 4 of them were taken to the Prince County Hospital in Summerside. Because the boy is only 17, we can't name him. The Vacation Land Ferry has a new home tonight. It will sail from Black's Harbor in New Brunswick to Grand Manan Island to the Bay of Fundy. Vacation Land was one of the 2 smaller ferries that used to cross from Borden to Cape Tormentine with Marine Atlantic. The province of New Brunswick paid $300,000 for the ferry. It will go into service on the Grand Manan run next year. Well, a big day at UPEI over the weekend. Saturday was Convocation Day.
I'm coming home to Prince Edward Island.
Island entertainer Angel Arsenault received an honorary degree and delivered the convocation address to the 539 graduates. Cardiologist Dr. Colin McMillan also received an honorary degree. The university granted its first bachelor degrees in computer science as well as its first PhD and its first posthumous honorary degree to a veterinary student who was to graduate this year but was killed in a boating accident. The class of 99 marks UPEI's 30th convocation. French conversation classes have wrapped up on a group of tourism workers in Eastern Kings. Last year, at least 76,000 visitors passed through Surrey to catch the ferry to the Magdalen Islands. Well, this year, tourism operators in the region, well, they wanted to be able to provide more services in French.
Legumes, s'il vous plaît.
The class celebrated with lunch at the Platter House in Surrey. Maureen Campbell-Ross owns the restaurant. She pressed for a local French language course.
We're guesstimating at roughly 40% of our guests in high season are Francophone guests. And we really had a need in the area. I realize it is easier to put a course on in Charlottetown, it's easier to get your numbers, but we so needed it here.
The short course is sponsored by the Tourism Industry Association of PEI and HRDC. It is the first time the French conversation program has been offered in Surrey. Students say it will help them communicate more than they've been able to in the past.
I've either directed them to somebody who could help them or tried to speak with their hands to sign things, and sometimes it can be very frustrating on both behalves. So this way at least we'll be able to understand a bit more, and which will be great.
Now they just have to wait for the tourists to arrive.
That's right.
All set.
It
Nice
shouldn't
day
be
today?
long. Oh, it was nice and great for the garden on the weekend.
You didn't get out at all on the weekend, I bet you.
No, no. Let's take a look at our live eye and see what the conditions are like right now. Well, it's a little bit overcast, and I'm afraid that it might get a little worse. Let's check in with Kevin Boomer Gallant.
Oh, very nice shirt there. Oh, nice shorts. You gotta like those shorts. Whoa, ooh, shorts again. Well, some budding modelists here, and they're getting set out here at the Sherwood School this evening for the big fashion show, kids fashion show, Wednesday evening here at the Sherwood School, fundraiser for the children of Kosovo and the Sherwood Elementary School. Going to be a great time, doing well here on the runway. And the weather, sure hope you enjoyed the heat the past several days, because it looks like several days of very cool temperatures, and flurries are in the forecast. I'll be back a little later in Compass with these models and that wintry looking forecast. We'll see you then. Okay, oh nice sweat bikini.
UPEI graduated more than 500 students Saturday, but the university's incoming president plans to increase that number. More later in Compass.
The Yugoslav government has announced it's pulling out some of its troops from Kosovo, but the move is doing nothing to move NATO. The Western Alliance says airstrikes will continue until all its conditions are met. We have a report from David Halton.
The Yugoslav announcement of a partial troop withdrawal from Kosovo immediately ran into a wall of skepticism in NATO capitals. The announcement didn't say how many of the estimated 42,000 Serb soldiers and police may be pulled out.
First of all, I have just heard a report that he was going to withdraw half his forces from Kosovo. If there ever was a definition of a half measure, that is it.
Albright and other NATO leaders insist the Serb withdrawal must be complete and meet all conditions laid out by the alliance.
Now, we have made it perfectly clear that we do not believe that the Kosovo refugees will feel able to return if they know that there are any significant number of troops, paramilitaries or special police left.
Meanwhile, NATO showed new bomb videos today to underscore its will to forge ahead with the air war, despite the accidental bombing of the Chinese embassy in Belgrade. That blunder brought more protests in Beijing and new demands that NATO punish those responsible for the embassy bombing. The demonstrators weren't satisfied by another apology today from U.S. President Bill Clinton.
But again, I want to say to the Chinese people and to the leaders of China, I apologize. I regret this.
Compounding NATO's embarrassment, U.S. Secretary of Defense William Cohen admitted the accident happened because the target was chosen on the basis of an outdated map.
This tragedy happened because a number of systems designed to produce and to verify accurate data failed.
U.S. officials are hoping the embassy bombing won't knock Russian-brokered peace negotiations off track. Russian envoy Viktor Chernomyrdin flew to Beijing today in an effort to calm China's anger and to enlist its support for a diplomatic solution for Kosovo. David Halton, CBC News, Washington.
Canadians are being called on to sponsor some of the 5,000 Kosovar refugees in their communities. The government wants groups of Canadians to help the refugees integrate into the community. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says a partial withdrawal of Yugoslav forces from Kosovo isn't good enough. Here's Ron Charles.
So far, more than 800 Kosovar refugees have arrived in Canada for safe haven, and there's a lot more to come. They've been living in military barracks in Ontario and Nova Scotia. Now the Immigration Minister wants them to be integrated into Canadian communities, and she's looking for Canadians to help them find apartments, community services, and jobs.
Today I want to encourage groups of Canadians to sponsor these refugees to help them get through this difficult period.
Robia says each 5-member sponsorship group would only be responsible for helping the refugees settle into the community. The government would continue to pay their expenses until they can go home.
All questions?
Today, opposition parties asked the Prime Minister if the Yugoslav announcement of a partial troop withdrawal from Kosovo means the refugees will go home soon.
Does the Prime Minister agree that a partial withdrawal of Yugoslav troops from Kosovo cannot be considered a credible fulfillment of NATO's demand?
The partial
withdrawal will probably not satisfy that goal to make sure that the people, the refugees, can go back in all security.
New Democratic Party. And the NDP said the NATO bombing of the Chinese embassy in Belgrade would set back peace efforts.
Regrettably, the bombing of the Chinese embassy is a spectacular screw-up.
On Sunday, I wrote a letter to the President of China and on behalf of the Canadian to apologize for the mistake that had been causing the damage and the death of one person at the Chinese embassy. It was an error of NATO that we deplore.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister says security's been stepped up at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing following volatile demonstrations at the U.S. and British missions there. But he says there haven't been any major incidents at the Canadian Embassy. Ron Charles, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Federal Minister of Justice says changes are coming to Canada's Divorce Act for the sake of the children. Anne McClellan puts forward proposals today for sweeping reforms to the 30-year-old legislation. The CBC's Julie Van Dusen has our story.
Divorce can be ugly, and children are often the ones who suffer most when parents break up. The government says the needs of children must be put first, and both parents should play an equal role in the upbringing of their child. Liberal Roger Galloway is the vice chair of the committee that studied custody and access of children following divorce.
A child has two parents when they're married, and a child is entitled to two parents when they're divorced.
Every day now I live in pain because I miss my kids.
From men.
The Common Senate Committee heard from 500 witnesses about the impact of divorce. Many were fathers who felt shut out of their children's lives. The government proposes to follow the committee's advice and shift the focus from ownership of the child to the best interests of the child. The government proposes to replace the adversarial terms of custody and access with shared parenting to emphasize the continuing responsibility both parents have to their children. Introduce measures to ensure that children are protected from violence and inadequate parenting. A nationwide coordinated response to failures to respect court orders that could include counseling, mediation, and punitive solutions for parents who disobey parenting orders. Those who have lobbied for changes to the Divorce Act welcome the government's emphasis on the needs of children.
The children have rights to have ongoing relationships with both sides of their family.
The government says it could take up to 3 years to introduce the changes because it must first consult with the provinces. Critics say that delay is unacceptable and will only hurt the children of divorce. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
In New Brunswick, the race is on. Liberal Premier Camille Thériault has called an election for June 7th. And today, on the first full day of the campaign, he and his Conservative opponent, Bernard Lord, were trying to outdo each other with promises of tax cuts. The Liberals are hoping for their fourth straight election win. The Conservatives are trying to spoil that record. The Inuit of Labrador have taken a step closer to self-government. They've initialed a land claims treaty, one that's been 20 years in the works. The CBC's Rick Seward has the details.
An Inuit negotiator and officials from the provincial and federal government initialed the agreement in principle. The agreement was actually worked out 6 months ago, but it's so detailed it took all this time to actually write it up. After this, there has to be a referendum among the Inuit people of Labrador, and the federal and provincial cabinets have to give their approval. The agreement in principle guarantees the Inuit self-government and gives them over 72,000 square kilometers of land to be negotiated later. In addition, the Inuit will get 3% of provincial revenues from Voisey's Bay development and 25% of provincial revenues from any new development, and $255 million in cash from the federal government. Chief Inuit negotiator Toby Anderson is optimistic his people will approve it.
So I think that the fact that we have a self-government arrangement with the kind of structure that our people wanted, and it'll be constitutionally protected. On that basis, I think that our people are going to be excited.
The Inuit people will vote in the agreement this summer. Rick Seward, CBC News, St. John's.
The strike at Bell Canada appears to be over. Today, the company reached a tentative agreement with its 9,500 telephone operators and technicians in Quebec and Ontario. They've been on strike for a month. The deal includes a small salary increase and better severance packages. But Bell will be able to go ahead with a plan to sell some of its operations to an American firm. The union has said that transfer would mean hundreds of layoffs and deep pay cuts. And that's our look at national and international news.
Thank you, Sarah. Well, let's now check your stock market today.
Later in sports, the Abbeys try hard but come up short.
Even if you've never flown Air Nova, chances are you already know there's a part of your life we touch every day.
People depended on these to keep them safe and sound. Today, people can depend on the '99 Ford Taurus SE and the Mercury Sable LS. They're the only cars in their class to earn a 5-star safety rating for front-end impact. They're the same price, too. $399 a month with 0 down. They both come with air, automatic with overdrive, remote keyless entry, and more.
Dependability and value in a wagon or sedan for $399 a month at your Atlantic Ford and Mercury value-driven dealers.
I just learned some scary things from my vet. He said heartworms could kill Trevor. Just 2 fleas can cause an infestation. Intestinal worms can cause painful stomach aches. Then he gave me something to protect Trevor. Sentinel.
Just 1 Sentinel tablet a month protects against heartworm, fleas, and intestinal worms. Dogs should be tested for heartworm before using Sentinel, the only product that protects against all these parasites.
Ask your veterinarian.
For those of you who wish the world of the internet was a lot faster, Islandtel has 2 words. Buckle up. Islandtel introduces Prince Edward Island's first high-speed internet for home use, up to 30 times faster than your 28K modem. For only $59.95 a month, you can plug into all of the up-to-the-second news, education, and entertainment the internet has to offer. And for a limited time, installation is only $49.95. Islandtel's high-speed internet service. Visit our website for details.
The late Robert Dawson and his son Ron had a vision to provide Islanders with a first-class residence for our senior citizens, the South Shore Villa. The villa provides apartments, community care, nursing, and subsidized beds are available. The generous meals are home-cooked, the caregivers are well-trained and attentive, and residents may take part in regular daily activities. Call Lynn Dawson for a free personal consultation and tour. Watch for our activities notice in Wednesday's newspapers. The South Shore Villa.
Like to drive a car that looks and performs brand new, but without a new car price tag? You can with a top quality pre-owned vehicle from Action Auto. Action Auto! We select only the best pre-owned vehicles and put them through a meticulous inspection and reconditioning at Brown's Auto Service before they go out on our lot. Action Auto! Visit our new location next to Brown's Auto Service in Sherwood.
See us now. Even if you've never flown Air Nova, chances are you already know we share the same Atlantic Canadian roots.
Tuesday on Island Morning, putting an end to school bullying. The Eastern School Board is developing a program to combat school bullies. We'll tell you exactly what's planned. And the Abbeys come home. The city of Charlottetown is rolling out the red carpet for the Eastern Canadian Junior Hockey Champs, who played so big in Yorkton at the Royal Bank Cup. Local and regional news and up-to-the-minute weather. You won't miss a thing with Island Morning on CBC Radio 1.
Today's Island weather brought to you by Vogue Optical.
Vogue Optical. Your second pair is free. Vogue Optical.
Oh, some very nice fashions here. Oh, I think you're going to make it all the way to New York. Well, I'm here this evening, and I'm with some of the children who are modeling, getting set to rehearsing right now, walking across that famous runway or bridge, I guess it is, here at Sherwood Elementary School. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, it's the Kids Fashion Show here at the Sherwood Elementary School. Great fundraiser for the school and the children of Kosovo. 7 o'clock it starts. Going to see some great fashions. Keep it going, folks. Oh, very nice shirt. You may need those long sleeves tomorrow because things are going to get a lot colder than we've been used to the past several days. But today was a nice day as well. Let's check degree readings late this afternoon around Prince Edward Island. Here in Charlottetown, we had lots of cloud, a few sunny breaks at 19, Summerside 18, Tignish 16, Surrey 12. Much the same sky condition. In New Brunswick, cold front passing through the Miramichi, a thunder shower at 15. Fredericton and St. John overcast at 13, sunny breaks in Moncton, 17 degrees. Nova Scotia, Yarmouth 8, Greenwood 11. They had rain in Greenwood. Halifax, sunny breaks at 20, sunny breaks in Pictou at 12, and rain showers up in Sydney this afternoon at 13 degrees. Keep on going, models. Great. That was our Maritime Day today. Let's check the rest of the nation this afternoon. Up north in Yellowknife today, they had sunshine, a balmy 13. Whitehorse sunny at 8. Vancouver 10 sunny degrees. Calgary overcast, a cool 1. Snow in Regina at 1 degree. Winnipeg rain at 4. Toronto 17 and sunny. Ottawa 12 degrees sunshine. Montreal sunny at 12. St. John's 22. Boston 20. Orlando 30. All with mainly sunny skies. Well, the warm air that we've had for the past 8 or 9 days is going to leave in a hurry overnight tonight. We are in for some very cool air. As we take a look at the satellite picture courtesy of Environment Canada's website, we do see the low now centered over northern New Brunswick. This has a warm front that is over Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. The trailing cold front will usher in that high pressure system by 2 H's. See the direction it's coming from the north, and that means cooler air in behind that low as it moves away tomorrow. The low will intensify as it heads towards Newfoundland with that high rushing in. Thus we are looking for very windy conditions and cooler temperatures, flurries in the forecast for Wednesday. So bundle up and let's recap the island forecast. For tonight, we are looking for skies to cloud over, and with the approach of that cold front, some showers. Good chance of a thunder shower in West Prince. Becoming windy overnight with partial clearing, a low of 5 degrees. Winds northwest, 30 gusting to 50. That'll bring in the cold air. Tomorrow, lots of clouds, scattered showers, maybe a sunny break, especially Prince County. Windy, a high of 9 degrees only. Winds northwest, 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. Long-range outlook for Wednesday, wet flurries and showers and windy at only 7. Thursday, showers with sunny breaks at 9. And Friday, much the same, cool temperatures only 10, sunny breaks and showers. Well, the kids are doing very well here this evening. As you can see, great modeling. And Wednesday night, they'll be on stage at the Sherwood Elementary School, 7 o'clock, a fundraiser for the school and the children of Kosovo. I'm going to model my Bermudas here and sandals with the children. I'll be back in studio at about 5 to 7 to recap the island forecast. We'll see you then. I think, is this how you do it, like this? Okay, show your feet.
Push him in the little drink. Push him in the drink.
That's
day,
right.
Though. It was a dandy day.
It was a dandy day indeed. Well, still to come in our show, the new president at UPEI wants to increase intellectual and financial investment at the university. We'll have more on that.
That's Wade McLaughlin, and he is president designate. Takes over, what, the 1st of July?
Yes, 1st of July.
Okay, and we're going to also have some information on the Abbeys. They return home tomorrow, as well as how Laurie Kane did, finishing up the title holders championship today. That's after these messages.
Stay with us.
Nice t-shirt. You drive a Toyota.
I wish I drove a Toyota.
I can make your wish come true. Right now, drive away a Toyota Tercel with a lease of just $199 a month and 0 down, or choose our lowest ever 2.8% financing. Yeah, that's right, 2.8 on the best-selling Tercel. So, what do you think now?
Impressive. And you do your own laundry, huh?
And I make a mean fondue.
We now return to our special, The Flea Myth.
Most people think it's the fleas you see that are the problem. Truth is, it's the eggs and larvae waiting to hatch and jump on your cat. And those eggs can hide anywhere, like on your couch, or even in your carpet.
There's an easy way to stop fleas from reproducing. Just take your cat to the vet for Program Injectable. One Program injection prevents flea infestations for 6 whole months, guaranteed.
This is the typical bland Canadian week, and this is the day that changes it all. Turkey Tuesdays! Here's how it works. Every Tuesday, you serve a delectable turkey dish. Not the whole turkey. You use turkey turkey parts from your supermarket. Turkey's low on fat and high on taste. They'll eat it up. Turkey stir-fry, turkey tacos, turkey scallopini, or burgers.
Mom, has there ever been a week with 7 Tuesdays?
Turkey Tuesdays. The week just got tastier.
Since 1939, Vessey's has been giving gardeners memories of a lifetime, bringing the beauty of the harvest to the backyards of Prince Edward Island. A mere 5 minutes from Charlottetown, Vessey's welcomes the season's arrival with everything a gardener truly needs. Now celebrating 6 decades of gardening experience, your home will benefit from the extensive testing that stands behind every product Vessey's sell. Open Monday through Saturday, Vessey's knowledgeable staff awaits your visit to York.
We've been friends since elementary school. We meet at Dooley's at least once a month. We laugh, shoot some pool, laugh, shoot some pool.
They came from different worlds. And when they finally met, there would be a clash. A master clash.
They're back. Leahy and Minovich in Master Clash. Book before May 31st and receive 25% off your ticket price, including family rates. Tuesday through Saturday at the Summerside Jubilee Theater.
Be there.
Well, as you saw earlier in Compass this evening, UPEI held its graduation ceremonies this past weekend. In attendance was the president-designate of UPEI, Wade McLaughlin. Before taking his position, he was the Dean of Law at the University of New Brunswick. One of Mr. McLaughlin's main concerns is attracting talent and research money to the university. And among the graduates was the first person ever to receive a PhD from UPEI. Ernest Hoving represents in part what the new president is trying to accomplish. He came here from Blacksburg, Virginia to attend the Atlantic Veterinary College in order to research fluctuations in Prince Edward Island dairy production. In a moment, we'll have Sarah's conversation with UPEI's president-designate. But first, here's what Ernest Hoving had to say about coming to PEI to work towards that PhD.
Well, first of all, Prince Edward Island is a great place, but it certainly has a nice dairy cow population as well, a large number of dairy herds, and plenty large enough for the amount of research that I wanted to carry out. Also, the Veterinary College and the University of Prince Edward Island have lots of expertise both in the dairy cow health management as well as epidemiology, which is involved in doing large studies looking at problems and situations in the dairy industry. So there was lots of opportunity here, and it's also a very unique place in Canada to be.
What do you make of being the first PhD student at UPEI? That's quite an honor.
Yes, it is. It's been fun to be here. It's been a long haul. I've done lots of other things. I've done some teaching in the meantime. I've done a residency and so on. And yeah, it certainly feels special to be the first one as well, I think, and a bit of a unique position. There's not too many people in Canada who can say that they were the first PhD graduate from a university. So.
And what's your plans for the next 4 or 5 years?
Well, I've accepted a faculty position in Virginia at the Virginia-Maryland Regional College of Veterinary Medicine. And I'll be working there as an extension veterinarian, also doing some research, and doing some on-farm work, and doing some teaching. And so I'll be heading down there. So certainly down the road, I might look at coming back to the island if there's a possibility to do that, because we certainly do like it here.
Prince Edward Island's first PhD student. Well, the university graduated a total of 539 students Saturday, but one man, Wade McLaughlin, would like to see that number increase. The stand-up native has returned to the island after a 25-year academic career, including Dean of Law at UNB, and he takes over the helm of UPEI in July. He says being the president at UPEI is his dream job, and he has big plans. Sarah joined Wade McLaughlin Friday at his new home.
Mr. McLaughlin, why would you call this your dream job?
One, I've been now 25 years in universities and have had all kinds of issues and challenges that I've dealt with, and this is a chance to do it at UPEI and to do it here and to come here and find the university in such fantastically good shape, people and programs and people really ready to take the place on into its next stage. Being president here is going to be a real privilege. The second is, of course, to come home and to be in my place. In many ways, I'm not claiming that I ever really left home, but as you can see behind me here, this is, as I say, where I came from my clam hole, Stanhope and Go-Fed Bay in the background, where I grew up, and PEI generally, where it's the greatest people and all of the connections and relationships and knowledge, and I think that's going to be a great asset, of course, in the university. And the third point, and I'll just deal with it briefly, but it's very important to me, is a chance to be in a leadership role in dealing with what I think is Prince Edward Island's most important issue, and I should say the most important issue for this region, and that is how to build up and how to retain our intellectual capital.
You've said it yourself, there really is a brain drain of smart and talented people from PEI coming out of high school, going to other universities, and enrollment has gone down in the last 8 years or so. How can you make more people want to go to UPEI?
Well, I think it's in the first part, it's about advocacy, and it's about people knowing about the quality and the strength of the University of Prince Edward Island. But there's another thing too, and I think a lot of people in Prince Edward Island recognize this, but perhaps don't act on it, and that is a key factor in our brain drain is that our students, when they're 17 to 22, go away, make relationships, get interested in things, are away at a time when they should be building up their sense of community and their attachment to a place and their understanding and their network of friends and so on. And if I have one message that I can pass during these 5 years to parents and grandparents and to teachers and guidance counselors, and most of all to students who are leaving high school and to students who are forming opinion in junior high school and elementary school, it's that is an absolutely critical time for our best talent to be here and to be learning about this place, and it's at UPEI where they can do it best.
You say there's a potential to raise twice as much money for the university. How?
In fact, I've got a couple of targets in that sense. One is about participation. At the present time, UPEI is supported by about 17% of its alumni, and that's measured any time over a 5-year period. Now, that's not high. It's not high enough. And indeed, one of my targets, and one that my colleagues in the university join in, is to double that. And indeed, I think that's achievable, and it's frankly about 1 in 3 would be much closer to the level of giving that people do generally for public and sort of philanthropic causes in this community. And it might even be that we can get it higher than that. And then in terms of the support, I think that there's a lot of potential there, that people understand the need, that in particular people understand the need to support students through scholarships. There's an initiative coming forward just now to have a new student center community gathering place in the university, and those of us who've been there as students and went through while the barn was served that purpose understand just how great that need is. So I actually think we're at a time when if we ask the right way, people are more than willing to join in supporting the university.
What would you say UPEI is known for now? And what would you like to see it known for in the future?
I think maybe the most important thing that UPEI is known for is the island. And I found this in my last couple of months since my appointment's been announced. There is a recognition of Prince Edward Island and an identity that Prince Edward Island has that UPEI benefits from, and frankly it's a national and international advantage for UPEI. We don't have to go out and say University of where. People know about PEI, and very rarely do I ever encounter anyone who's got other than totally positive feelings about PEI.
So what do you want to see it known for in the future?
The quality of its programs, the quality of its students and its graduates, and indeed any university should be planning on being known first for what its students do 10 years from now. And any university should first be measuring how well it's doing by the strength of its next incoming class. So those are the most important measures are in effect the people. There are a number of initiatives that are coming forward right across the disciplines at UPEI, and I want to do what I can to advocate for those and to encourage the people who are bringing them forward, and to do my best to help them find the resources, because resources are an issue, to be the best that we can be.
Your term is 5 years. Is that long enough to achieve your goals?
When I went through the sort of coming home and presenting myself, I said if I couldn't achieve the targets which I had set within 5 years, I'd take my lunch can and go home. So that's still my position. And 5 years is a time when, especially with the strength of the people who are there and the energy that's in the place, and look, I have been just really overwhelmed by the level and the quality and the enthusiasm of the reaction I've gotten from people in this community about the university and about my appointment. And frankly, I think it's a time when UPEI has a lot that it can draw on in the whole community here in Prince Edward Island, and in the more extended community that's partial to this place. And for that reason, I think we can do a lot in 5 years.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah.
And that was Wade McLaughlin. He's the new president of UPEI. We'll be right back with more of Compass right after this.
If you'd like to comment on anything you see nightly on Compass, including commenting on Wade McLaughlin's interview this evening, please call our talkback line toll-free 1-800-671-2228. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Brooke Braho, reminding you that Nova Street... We interrupt this program with a special report from the Highways Lab, where we believe after years of study and research, they have finally discovered that elusive softer rock. Professor Friedelmeier.
Well, unfortunately, it appears it's just a great big old piece of dirty bubblegum. So until he makes off the rocks, remember the name Novus.
Since 1939, Vessey's has been giving gardeners memories of a lifetime, bringing the beauty of the harvest to the backyards of Prince Edward Island. A mere 5 minutes from Charlottetown, Vessey's welcomes the season's arrival with everything a gardener truly needs. Now celebrating 6 decades of gardening experience, your home will benefit from the extensive testing that stands behind every product Vessey's sell. Open Monday through Saturday, Vessey's knowledgeable staff awaits your visit to York.
Don't replace it. Let Apple repair it before it spreads, at no cost to you, providing you have glass coverage. So don't delay. Get it in today.
An improperly installed windshield could cause a car's airbag to lose its effectiveness. Another reason, Apple Auto Glass only uses the Bond for Life installation system. Protect what really matters.
Apple Auto Glass. Meet me where the summer's just around the bend. Meet me at the Dairy Queen, where the feeling never ends. Meet me at DQ.
Try DQ's new pecan mudslide treat, a wicked combo of hot fudge, hot caramel, pecans, and DQ soft serve. From now until May 23rd, Dairy Queen will donate 50 cents from every pecan mudslide sale to the Children's Miracle Network at IWK Grace Hospital.
Meet me at DQ.
When was the last time somebody offered to give your business a hand? Wizard's got the hands to do it, and we're offering to help. Need a hand finding the office supply you want? We can put our hands on over 25,000 office products. We'll hand deliver to your door within 4 hours, or sooner if you need them immediately. Need them at the best prices? Put your hands on our monthly sales flyer. So don't assume that bigger is better. Phone the Hands-On Business Supply Company today. Wizard, sure we can lend you a hand.
Well, a lot of Islanders were hoping yesterday would have been the day, yet they gave it, I guess, about all they could. Kevin Gallant, as we take a look at the Charlottetown Abbeys tonight.
Yeah, they sure did, Roger. The Charlottetown Abbeys gave it all they had, but ran out of steam when it counted the most. The Abbeys went up against the Vernon Vipers in the national finals in Yorkton, Saskatchewan yesterday, but fell behind in the third period and couldn't catch up. Tanya Miller has more.
On the left side, Abbeys down by 1 after a scoreless second period. Charlottetown coming off an exhausting game against Yorkton with 2 overtime periods, but hold up well against the #1 ranked Vipers until the third. At the tail end of a one-man advantage for Charlottetown, Bousselet gets the puck, drifts it in from the blue line. It's 4-2 Vernon. A bit more urgency now for Charlottetown. Then Brad Sims takes a penalty for interference. Kennedy not too happy with that. Seconds into the Vipers' power play, Corey Davison works it in the side. Vipers ahead by 3 and take control of the game. Abby's call a timeout to try and settle the team down, but the Vipers grab control again. Gare passes to Tyler Knight, pulls Cairns out from the net, and that would do it. Vipers go ahead by 4. The Abbies simply run out of steam. Charlottetown manages one more goal with this scramble in front of the net, but the Vipers, with an edge, score 3 more times in the final 5 minutes to take the National Junior A title 9-3. The win capping a 3-game comeback for the Vipers.
The Abbies arrive home in Charlottetown tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Fans are invited to the airport for a welcoming home reception. And later in the day, the team will be escorted from downtown to the Civic Center on a fire truck for an appreciation night. They should arrive at the Civic Center around 7 o'clock. Well, the LPGA Title Holders Championship will be remembered as the tournament that kept going and going.
Play is suspended.
3 storm delays stretched the tournament to 5 days. A threat of lightning again yesterday sent the players, including our very own Laurie Kane, back to the practice range. Kane went into today's final round at -8, 6 behind the lead. But it wouldn't be Kane's day. She shot a 75, dropping to 28th place. It would be Carrie Webb day, however. Webb shot a 66, earning her a 4th victory and $135,000. Becky Iverson, who led for the first 2 rounds, finished in a 4-way tie for 3rd. Scouts for the national women's hockey teams were in Charlottetown over the weekend to check out the East Coast players. Sonia Biting was there to find out how Islanders fared in the race to make it to the national level. She has more in this report.
Women hockey players from across Atlantic Canada have all gathered in Charlottetown to play some serious hockey. They aren't playing to win a tournament or to win a game. They have come to play their very best. PEI players like Amy Handrahan from Mount Stewart know the eyes above the rink are watching their every move. This is one of 4 evaluation camps being held across the country to find players for next year's national, senior, and under-22 women's teams. Gaetan Robitaille is one of the scouts that has come to Charlottetown to see what Atlantic Canada has to offer.
They're quite young. That's probably in the four camps that we're going to hold. It's the younger camp, younger players. So, I mean, the future is bright.
Amy Handrahan is the only goaltender from the island trying out for a spot on the national team.
I think I played well and probably played good for PEI too. That was my main goal. And hopefully the scouts will see me and let me have another chance at this too.
Karen Hughes is the assistant coach with the national senior women's team, and her opinions matter when it comes to selecting national players. She noticed PEI's only goaltender.
I thought she had a really good first period there in the game today. She played with good composure, made some good saves, and looks like she works pretty hard.
It may be a while before anyone finds out who made which team and who didn't. The under-22 team doesn't start its season until August, and the senior women's team doesn't start until October. Women's hockey has been around PEI for over a century now, and with the recent gain in popularity in the sport, and with the chance for Charlottetown to host this national evaluation clinic, it creates an amazing opportunity to promote this sport to young players across the province. At Simmons Arena in Charlottetown, I'm Sonia Biting for CBC Sports.
In NHL playoff action yesterday, Matt Sundin scored 2 goals and assisted on 2 more as the Toronto Maple Leafs beat Pittsburgh 4-2 to tie their Stanley Cup playoff series at a game apiece. In other action, Detroit heads home up 2-0 against Colorado. Bill Ranford stopped 28 shots as the Red Wings blanked the Avalanche 4-0, and Buffalo beat Boston 3-1 to even their series at 1 game apiece. St. Louis has home ice tonight against Dallas. The Stars lead that set 2-0, and the game here on CBC beginning at 8:30. And that's our look at Monday Night Sports.
I was thinking with the Abbeys, took them, about 3 days to get out west. They're going to have 3 welcome home parties. 2, 7, and 10
They
in the
deserve
morning.
it. They had a lot of victories. The Maritimes and the Eastern Canadians.
Lots to be proud of.
Made it
Don't
to the big dance.
hide
but-
the head at all.
Yeah.
And I bet they'll be glad to get rid of that blonde hair. They all died as a team when the playoffs started as a team spirit thing.
Back to the original clear look. Jamie and I.
We'll be right back to wrap things up. Please stay with us.
Hey, 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 all you cool cats and crazy kittens. This is the main brain, Ben Spontane on WAXX Radio, urging you to get off your seat, get on your feet, and start grooving to a brand new beat. It's mighty fine here in 59. Give us a try at Rydell High. The music is hoppin', the kids are boppin', and once you catch it, there'll be no stoppin'.
Maybe I need some help with that spring building project. Now, who should I call? Let me see. No. Huh? No, definitely not. That's it! Your local home hardware building center. From a new deck to a new home, no matter how big or small your building project, call the island's building project experts and get the help you need from start to finish at any one of the 4 home hardware building centers on the island.
Put an extra spring in your step in sandals and shoes from Corny Shoe Store. For the ladies, a generous selection of sizes and widths in sandals and shoes by Clark Springers and Soft Spots. And for the gentlemen, comfortable footwear, even in those hard-to-fit sizes, for every occasion by Clark's, Bostonian, Prospector, Boulay, and Dax. Experience comfort footwear in shoes that fit properly. From the folks with over 33 years of footwear know-how, Corny Shoe Store, Charlottetown and Summerside.
Since 1939, Vessey's has been giving gardeners memories of a lifetime, bringing the beauty of the harvest to the backyards of Prince Edward Island. A mere 5 minutes from Charlottetown, Vessey's welcomes the season's arrival with everything a gardener truly needs. Now celebrating 6 decades of gardening experience, your home will benefit from the extensive testing that stands behind every product Vessey's sell. Open Monday through Saturday, Vessey's knowledgeable staff awaits your visit to York.
Are the highways and byways chipping away at your vision while you drive? If your windshield is not all it's cracked up to be, then it's time you headed to Apple Auto Glass. They are the experts when it comes to stone chip repairs and full replacement windshields. Apple Auto Glass has 3 locations on PEI, and if you can't get to them, they'll get to you with their pickup and delivery service. For a clear outlook in your vehicle, it's Apple Auto Glass.
Well, we're back to wrap things up, but before we do that, we'll tell you about a story coming up on Compass later this week. Newfoundlanders are coming to the island in droves, especially to PEI fish plants to work, and we'll meet one Newfoundland family who's settled here.
Before we get to that, tomorrow or the next day, let's check out, I hear snow.
No.
Yes. I love the colors green and white, and I think Mother Nature might show them to me on Wednesday.
Oh my.
Yes, it's not uncommon to have cold weather in May, cool weather, but it is going to be cool, and especially it's going to feel a lot colder because the winds with the high pressure system, it's right now centered over Hudson Bay, moving towards the Maritimes very quickly, and that's why it's a system moving in quick behind another, tightens up that isobar gradient. Winds are going to pick up and lots of cool air. So I hope you did enjoy the last 9 days because they were beautiful. Overnight tonight, we're going to see that cold front sweep across the island. May see a thunder bumper in West Prince, becoming windy around midnight. Northwest 30 to 50 as those showers come to an end, and there could be some temporary partial clearing. +5 for a low. Tomorrow, cloud, a lot of it. Sunny breaks possible in West Prince, but scattered showers elsewhere and windy. A high of only 9, but those winds, northwest 30 to 40. Long range outlook. There it is. Little cooler yet, and it's going to be windier than Tuesday at 7. So that's why we're going to see the flurries and showers. Thursday gets warm at 9 and even warmer Friday
Look at
at
it
10.
snow at 7 degrees.
It's the wind chill in the air.
That
You're
better
mad.
not have been summer we saw last week.
Thank you,
A little
Kevin.
bit, sample.
Good night, folks.
Have a good one. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Matt Rainey, and if you're looking for some place to hang out, why not join me on Main Street between 4 and 6 on CBC Radio 1? Whether you're driving home from work, getting ready for supper, or just relaxing after a long day, Main Street offers you information and entertainment, keeping you up to date with what's happening across the island and around the globe. So join me, Matt Rainey, each weekday between 4 and 6 on CBC Radio 1 for Main Street. It's radio and it's fun.
Oh, there's one here, dead one.